It's just a matter of finding the right information that you already have to put it together into a picture that other people can read. So it's not as daunting as people might lead you to believe. My deputy principal in charge of learning, Lynn Hutchinson, had already prepared quite a significant paper. So when we started the process of putting the entry form in, once we got our head around the different sections in the entry form, we were able to pull in a lot of the other information we already had.
We collected student voice, and we also collected whānau and parent voice. So last year we had made a little DVD for all of our Dreamweaver mentoring new families to tell them about who we were and what our program was all about, and we were able to present that.
Most of my studies are always based on what Norku's doing, so it all feeds back into Norku, and it's really, really cool because it means I can see my study in action rather than just theory. The studies that I'd done was our case study. The research had evidence attached to it, but we also had other stuff from the years that we'd been running. Parent feedback, error reports, things like that, stuff that we knew we were doing. The number of staff that we'd qualified through, their journeys, where they'd gone, how it had changed their lives.
One of the first places we went to find data was that student feedback that you get and the formal feedback that you gather at the end of the year. But capturing those snippets of conversations that you have with kids when you see them having that aha moment, and trying to get teachers to actually document it so you had it for the entry form.
And did you find that you learned anything new from the students when you were getting their narratives?
Reinforcing what we'd heard less formally in class, yeah, which was really cool.
The student narratives were such a powerful strategy. We had practice of asking our Māori students for their stories of what worked and what didn't work for them in the classroom and in the school, what things they'd like to see more of, what made a difference to their learning.
One of the scariest things was having to integrate the research to support what you're doing and showing that it does have value and you've done what you've done in the right way. Don't be scared to go back and check your research. There's summaries of the best evidence synthesis. You don't have to read the whole books.
In my entry, I very much focused on the starting point of the story, improving NCA achievement. And that was very short. And you get all sorts of fancy data and graphs and all that sort of stuff, and I didn't do that. Craig and I sat down and said, no, this is what we wanted to achieve. This is how it's going to be presented. So a table over 8 years, I think it was, and 3 graphs. That's it.
Whatever it is, to give us some sort of frame for the data and to make the connections with the data, it's really important.
As part of the course, part of the program, the boys had written essays on identity, on values, on relationships, on their place in the world, the good man that they want to be. And we used those essays. We had anecdotes of change, and then we found hard data and things like even detentions. We found that detention and standout and suspension figures drastically decreased. There is some time involved, but it is rewarding. And you know, as I said, the bulk of the work you've done.
Do you have a leader who is responsible for analysing all that data? Or?
It was done by me at the start of the year, but now we have academic deans whose responsibility is to analyse the data on a weekly basis, to look where we're going to. But we also put it all together, and we have a really robust discussion amongst the senior leadership team and the academic deans every week.
We always go back to that research to say, well, is this being effective? You know, is this aligned with what the best evidence synthesis is telling us? Or are we finding other trends that we hadn't caught up on before?
What you've got to do, I suppose, with that evidence is see a line of sight between what it is that you're presenting as evidence and what those outcomes, those valued outcomes have been for children.